Hello, friends. Welcome back to Gecko's Gaming. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Black Midrange again, and we're going to be going back to the classic Black Green version. And I think I've been tuning this deck, working on it, coming up with something, giving it a facelift so that it can adapt to the new metagame and hopefully thrive. So, first of all, this is going to have, I think, I've checked this out to have a better energy matchup, to be well positioned against energy. And I've also teched it out to be good against Blue Tempo, which is naturally a predator of the deck because of the high value or the high cost clunky threats. And then in order to do that, I've given a little less respect to combo, but we're still naturally good against combo. And so let's go ahead and let's start talking about the core of the deck, and then we'll discuss the major changes that I'm making to the stock black mid range list here. So the core of the deck is built around high power threats and utility creatures that are well positioned in the metagame. We have Barragoyf, which solos games. The lifelink is crazy, especially against the blue-red decks. And there's a lot of burn around. And if you stick a Barragoyf, like the game's over against those decks. So very good solos games. You have the ring for card advantage and just to go over the top of any other deck. And then we also have Shelly, who can solo games in a similar way to Barragoyf, but then also is a game-winning combo with the One Ring. We have Wary Zone Guard, which provides value by getting lands back and ramping, but it also is a game-winning combo with Strip Mine to just strip block the opponent. And then rounding out our threat suite, we have Bowmasters and Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman basically does it all right now. This is really good against aggro decks with the life gain and the 1-2. It's a decent blocker. It counters reanimation strategies. It pings opponents to close out games. It has a lot of reach. And then it also ramps us, and it applies downward pressure on opponents' graveyards to prevent treasure cruising and other delve type things. And then we have Bowmasters. This is the bane of blue decks. It's really good at clogging up the board, punishing card draw, and also it can shoot X1s and, like I said, just clog up the board against Mardu or aggressive decks. Often like a 3-for-1 against aggro decks if you can set it up right. I also added a couple Vampiric Tutors, which is kind of deck glue. We can use it to get whichever threat is most potent at the time, or to assemble combos. Like if we have a ring, we can get Shelly. If we have Wary Zone Guard, we can get Strip Mine. That type of thing. It's also useful for finding silver bullets out of the sideboard or hosers or the right interaction at the moment that you need. But I'm going to get more into that in a moment here. I'm going to go more in depth about Vampire Tutor. But first, I want to talk about basically the biggest change to the deck, which is that I completely cut the Reanimate package. So no more Reanimate, no more Grief, no more Troll of Cause of Doom. Grief is really bad in the metagame right now against the top play decks. It's always been pretty bad against Mardu. You don't really want to pay life. Trading 1-for-1 with their hand is not really important. You need to play to the board against that deck. And then also, it's really bad against the blue decks too, because it feeds their treasure cruise, and most of their creatures can kind of ignore it. The body is not that important in the matchup. And importantly, also, when you look at their hand, they'll often have just a bunch of cantrips so they can easily recover. They operate really well on low resources. They have so many cantrips and then feeding treasure cruise, so it's just bad against the blue decks. And Grief and Troll are both pretty bad. I mean, Troll is good against blue, but Grief and Troll are both terrible against Mardu, which is probably the number one villain right now in the format, as it usually is. Troll is just the 6 life to reanimate it really matters in that matchup where they're pressuring your life total so much, and they have reach with Goblin Bombardment. So it's usually not fast enough to race on top of that. So the 6 life really matters. And they run a lot of exile removal, which reduces the value of reanimate in general. And you can't reanimate their stuff because if they have a static prison, they can play the static prison, exile the thing you reanimated, and then on their turn choose to not pay the energy, and they just get that card under their control. So you just made their battlefield better, and so that's a huge blowout. Reanimate is a liability against energy decks, and it's basically a dead card. You know, it depends on the build. I mean, some builds are running a bit more burn now. Some are moving back towards Lightning Bolt. Some are moving back towards Galvanic Discharge. But even then, it's too much of a guessing game, and the other aspects of it are bad. So, just not good in that matchup. Yeah, like I said, Troll is really good against blue decks, but Grief is not. Reanimate is okay there. It depends on the deck. If they're playing swords, it's not good. But the other thing about the reanimate package is that there is a lot of graveyard hate in the format right now, which just makes it harder to slog through and pull this kind of stuff off. The deck is already pretty reliant on the graveyard. It's a good angle of attack against this deck is to pressure the graveyard between Barragoyf, Zone Guard, Deathrite Shaman, and so we don't need to really like add on to that with more vulnerability to graveyard hate here. It's a little bit too much putting all our eggs in one basket. The biggest loss, of course, I think in the current metagame is Troll, which is great against blue decks. It's also a decent clock for combo. But with the Troll out, we have more room for fetch lands, which are great for Deathrite Shaman and for Wary Zone Guard. That they need lots of lands. So we're going to go into the mana base a little bit more later, but there's a lot of pressure on the mana base with the colorless lands, these guys, and something had to go, and that was Troll and Reanimate. Now, one downside too, on top of losing Troll, is that our type count goes down a little bit in the way that I have it built. There's only 3 sorceries, or no, there's 2 sorceries because it's counting the Reanimate that I have in there just for visual purposes. So, but yeah, we're down to only 2 sorceries in the main deck. So it does like bring the Barragoyf down a little bit, but Barragoyf is still great. We have Wobbles to fill it up. The opponent is going to play Magic and put cards in their graveyard. It's going to be good. It's not that big of a deal. And we have more sorceries in the sideboard for certain matchups. But that's still just a consideration I wanted to put on your radar. So let's talk about Vampiric Tutor. I do believe Vampiric Tutor is still underexplored in Timeless. We see it making splashes in certain combo decks, black combo decks and stuff like that. But there's a lot more that you can do with this card. And I mean, this deck is not exactly a combo deck. It's definitely more of a mid-range fair deck. But I think it's really good here. One of the reasons that I didn't like Wary Zone Guard Strip Mine before is because not only does your mana get way worse, but if you draw a Wary Zone Guard, you don't have a Strip Mine, it's kind of just meh. It's not a very good card without Strip Mine. So that was, and then the deck never really had good ways to filter. We don't have blue cantrips. We don't have those types of things to put the combo together. So you're kind of running a card that's like dead half the time. Now with Vampiric Tutor, we can get a Strip Mine if we don't have it already for the Wary Zone Guard, or vice versa. If we have a Strip Mine, we can find Zone Guard when it's appropriate, and that's been really good. It's also it kind of puts together all the different combos. Like, so if you have a Ring or a Shelly, you can tutor for the other one if you need it. It gives you more access to your best sideboard cards, your Silver Bullets, your big hosers. So it basically adds like 2 additional copies of every card in your sideboard virtually. It's better for Dark Ritual maxing. You can set up kind of insane turns where you utilize Dark Ritual and then use all your mana perfectly. You can just kind of put those those Christmas Land type of setups together where you really go off more commonly with it. So better for Dark Ritual maxing. But you need to remember, like, it definitely does come with costs. You have to pay life to cast it. 2 life is definitely matters. This deck is built to mitigate that more. We have the full 4 Barragoyf, full 4 Deathrite Shaman. So our deck can gain a lot of life, but still is a cost. And then on top of that, you basically lose a card because he doesn't replace itself. So you go down a card with a Vampiric Tutor, and then you don't get it until your next draw. It's usually next turn unless you have like a Bobble or a Ring Out to get it right away. So all of that, it does definitely, this is not free, but it has been good so far in my early testing in terms of being glue that ties everything together. You can use it to get whatever threat you need, like Barragoyf is sometimes all you need to win a game. You can use it to find a removal spell if you really need to do that. So pretty nice. Sometimes you can use it to get a Bowmasters and then sack a Bauble if in response to something. Stuff like that can come up sometimes. The other thing that's kind of nice about it is you can trim some of your clunkers. Like, so you could run 3 rings main. You could maybe run 1 Shelly if you wanted to lower the curve a little bit more. You could maybe trim some 3s. I do think both of these 3s are really important to the deck though, so I wouldn't necessarily do that. But especially post board, it makes it a lot easier to trim your clunky but powerful spells and still be able to access them reliably or when you need them. And to mitigate you could consider running a Demonic Tutor over one of the Vampiric Tutors to mitigate the life loss as well as the turn delay and the card disadvantage. I might try that at some point. I haven't tried it yet, but you could run like 1 and 1. It's a little bit. I do think that more often the 1 mana will come up in this format with Strip Mine, and it's a very fast format. So I do think that more often than not, the 1 mana less and instant speed will outweigh the advantages of getting the card right away of Demonic Tutor. But that is definitely something to explore. All right, next we're gonna go over the mana base. So we have a 6 fetch lands, all black, and you want to have a good spread because of stuff like Pithing Needle and stuff like that. But especially now that Hamlet is printed, it is important to not put all of the same fetch land in your deck, because the new Hamlet card can shut off like a fetch land by naming it, and then your hose if you have multiples of that in your hand. So you want to have a nice spread. I have 6 black fetch lands. These enable Fatal Push to hit bigger things. They enable more value with Wary Zone Guard for when you don't have a Strip Mine. They set up Deathrite Shaman to ramp you and fix your colors. And they also enable the Green Splash pretty easily. The Green Splash is practically free in here. And then we have 2 basic swamps, 3 overgrown tombs, 1 mortuary. So 6 fetchable lands off of 6 fetch lands. It is important to run a high ratio of fetchables to fetch lands, because you can go through your fetches pretty quick with Wary Zone Guard and then run out of fetchable lands. And so I wouldn't want to have less fetchables than you have fetch lands in a deck like this. But that's one reason also that I want to include an Urborg if I can find space for it. I haven't been able to yet, but when you run out of fetchables, your fetch lands can tap for mana then. It's also really helpful because it can turn on your colorless lands. You don't have to take pain from the tomb, which is really nice. And it can help, these can tap for mana. But like I said, it's really hard to find room for all the lands. Even with the trolls out, there's still barely enough space for a proper fetch land spread, with so many slots being taken up from the 8 colorless lands that are required for the deck. And then on top of that, we also need mana acceleration. So we have, 7 pure mana acceleration spells, and then 11 if you count Deathrite. And those are really important to power out our big threats and to keep up in such a fast format. So the deck is prone to flooding with so many of these lands. There's one more thing that Vampiric Tutor can help. It can help you find like your ring, to mitigate flood. But the deck is prone to flooding, so it is tough to just cut spell for another Urborg. I could see potentially cutting like a Chromox or a Dark Ritual, but those are both really good. So Dark Ritual gets a little bit worse in this deck than in the mono black, because you can't cast Wary Zone Guard off of it. You need to have a green in addition. That's one downside of the Wary Zone Guard. But if I can find room for the Urborg, I'd like to include it. But right now, I haven't been able to yet. And then finally, there's no MDFCs, so we don't have any Bogart Trawlers, no Fellow Profane, and there's less intensive pitch requirements since we're not running any Grief. Our only pitch requirement is Chromox. And then, like I said, there's so much pressure on the mana base between the wanting to have fetch lands and wanting to have acceleration and wanting to have Strip Mine. So we really don't have room for the modal land cards. We also want our cards and our interaction to be very efficient, because the format is very fast right now. It's very punishing and unforgiving. So I want to keep the removal really low to the ground instead of running Fellow Profane. And then we have Deathrite Shaman, which is just way more efficient graveyard hate than Bogart Trawler. And so let's talk about the flex slots, the interaction. We have Bloodchief's Thirst, we have Vexing Bauble, and we have Fatal Push. Bloodchief's Thirst and Fatal Push are both really important for the 2 main decks in the format, the BO3 Tempo and Mardu Energy, because you need to be able to answer their 1-drops for 1 mana like immediately, especially if you're on the draw. You got to be able to take out a turn 1 Gaia Souls or a turn 1 Hydro or Tameo. Very, very important. And the Bauble also solves the problems that we're vulnerable to from blue, of the free counter spells knocking out our big clunky threats. But what I really love about the Bauble is just how low of a cost it is to include in your deck. It cycles for colorless mana. It cycles for 1, and so it can give you value out of your Ancient Tomb and Strip Mine to be able to utilize that mana. It also randomly hits a lot of splash damage from other cards in the format. Like it shuts down Moxes, Mistra's Baubles, Amped Raptor, Fire Blast, a bunch of stuff. It also puts an extra type into the yard for Baragoyf. So, yeah, just a very, very, very solid card. Very nice included in the deck. All right, let's talk about the sideboard now. We have 4 Thoughtseize to replace the Griefs. It's another type for Goyf, which is kind of nice. But mostly, you bring that in for combo and control. I think that our combo matchup is not that bad, actually. We have a reasonable clock. We have strong threats. And the Wary Zone Guard combo can be pretty punishing to them. Deathrite can matter against them sometime when you mess around with their graveyard. Bobble can slow down a lot of combo decks. Bowmasters can punish them. So we have some... It's not like we're totally taking out everything that's good against combo. I think the deck still is naturally good against combo. But this particular version, definitely we sacrifice a lot of our combo matchup to improve the fair matchups. And so the 4 Thoughtseize out of the sideboard is essential and goes a long way towards making those matchups better. We have Assassin's Trophy, which has been an incredible overperformer. I found this, if you're watching my mono black aggro deck, I think it was 2 videos ago, I was having trouble against Eldrazi with Chalice, and so I looked into some different things. Assassin's Trophy came up, and it's just actually insane against Eldrazi. I originally put it in just as a answer for Chalice that could also hit like any big creature out of Eldrazi or Stompy decks. But the fact that it hits lands too, and they don't normally include a basic to replace it, has just been huge. You get an instant speed sinkhole mode in addition to all the other utility. So it has that back-breaking upside against them when you can take out one of their soul lands or something like that. And the other thing too is it's really good against Hamlet, Petrified Hamlet. And if you're sitting with Strip Mines in your hand and they named Strip Mine with Hamlet, you can just blow up the Hamlet and then unlock your Strip Mines and start blowing up their lands. So really nice. It also hits like any fatty that gets in the way from Eldrazi. So big fan of it. It also has a lot of utility in other matchups. Basic lands are kind of at an all-time low in the format, I think. You don't really need to play basic lands because there's no wasteland. And there's not a lot of ways to punish people for doing that. The main reason people play basic lands now is to conserve their life total when they're fetching, but there's still not that many. Most decks don't play more than 1 or 2, so it does have value coming in against other random things. Like people will bring in Disruptor Flute against you to try to turn off your ring or your Strip Mine, maybe even Deathrite. So you can hit a Disruptor Flute there, and it can also just randomly hit like problematic permanents or big creatures that you need to get rid of. I also considered some other things in this slot for dealing with... This is primarily like the Chalice of the Void slot. And the other one I would consider is Abrupt Decay, which is good against blue decks. You can bring it in against blue. I wouldn't bring in Assassin's Trophy against blue decks, but Abrupt Decay you can because it's uncounterable. And the other big advantage of Abrupt Decay is it gets around Chalice on 2 because it's uncounterable. So if they do Chalice on 2, they can shut off your Assassin's Trophy, whereas Abrupt Decay gets around that. The other thing I considered was Witherbloom Command, which can be a 2-for-1. It gets stripped back from the graveyard. The creature removal mode on it is like rarely on though. Like there's a lot of X1s that are almost extinct because of Bowmasters. Like nobody plays X1s anymore. And the ones that are played cost 1, so you're always trading down on mana. And even Ragavan barely sees play anymore. But Witherbloom Command is another option you could put in here. Like I said, it's nice to get a Strip Mine back, get a little bit extra value. There is potential for 2-for-1s, but like I said, because there's very little X1s in the format, it doesn't come up very often. I also considered Witherbloom Charm, but the sacrifice and the life gain modes aren't very good, and it is the weakest of the options, but it still has Chalice, it still has lots of flexibility against removal other than Assassin's Trophy without the downside of them getting a basic land. Now, I would rank them in about that order, so number 1 is Assassin's Trophy, number 2 Abrupt Decay, number 3 Witherbloom Command, number 4 Witherbloom Charm if you're looking for Chalice tech. And then we have Fairy Macabre, which is great against the Reanimator strategies. Opposition Agent is good against blue. It's good against the land stacks that do a lot of crop rotation and fetching. It's good against certain combo decks. Snuff Out is another flex slot. I think this deck really is a good Snuff Out deck because we have lots of ways to gain life. And just having a 0 mana like hard removal spell is incredible. It's really strong. It can swing games really easily. And then we have Culling Ritual, which is one of the main draws to green here. It's probably the best card against Mardu that you can really have access to. And it wipes out everything. It wipes out all their creatures. It wipes out a Flip to Johnny, or wipes out a Goblin Bombardment, and then you get the bonus of all the mana afterwards. So really, really big game-changing card there. Really good against Mardu. A big part of the reason of the draw to this deck right now in this metagame. And the other thing I'll mention about the sideboard is that the two Vampiric Tutors really powers this up, so you can find whatever you need with much more ease. You can basically have 2 additional copies of everything in here. So yeah, that's the deck. Put a lot of work into tuning it. I think that it's promising going forward. And if you like this video, please smash that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. And I did start a Discord, and I'm posting exclusive stuff in there. You can get some of my cutting edge metagame tuned decks maybe a few days before I make a video. I'm also going to be posting notes in there from videos if you want to go a little bit more in depth or have text format for it. The way to get that is to join my Discord. Link is in the description. And yeah, thanks so much everybody for watching, and I hope you enjoy these games. All right, let's play first with Golgari. We're up against BO3, who's a pretty good, definitely pretty good timeless player. They're showing Aluris, so either energy or blue-black most likely. If it's blue-black, actually against either one, I'm not going to want to rush out a Shield Dread turn 1, even though I have the capability to. I mean, we're definitely going to keep. I think I'm going to lead on Deathrite. Lead on Deathrite here. Alright, yep, we're up against a blue deck. They do not appear to have any counter magic right now, any free counter magic, so we could just go for the Shield Dread. It's a little risky when we do have the bauble. Actually, we can do both because of Deathrite Shaman, so do that. They almost certainly have a fetch land though, so Shield Dread might just die to a Fatal Push, which would be unfortunate. We're gonna make him have it. I think that there is some merit to waiting here on the Shield Dread a little bit, but I think just doing a removal check here is fine enough. They have to have Fatal Push plus fetch land. They probably do have the fetch land, yeah, because they have the Hydro. But they may not have the push. Okay, done the green version. So Deathrite Shaman splash. Witherbloom command, okay. We got a fetch land back from that, but Shield Dread sticks, so that's pretty good. I mean, that means that we're highly likely to win this game. We'll swing for 4. Hopefully, if I can mill a land with this, then I can cast Barrowglyph. Yes, perfect. That's probably going to be an insurmountable advantage them to come back from, yeah. GG, GG. Against blue-black. I don't think Snuff Out's that good because they're playing Deathrite Shaman and Psychic Frog and Bowmaster. There's like lots of things that don't get hit by it. So, I mean, I probably just want Opposition Agent. And I'm somewhat pre-boarded against this deck, so that's nice. And then I think it's reasonable to cut some fast mana against them, especially on the draw, but I'm still trying to figure out if I want to cut Chrome Moxes or Dark Rituals first. In the mono black versions, it's easy to cut Chrome Mox, but since we have Wary Zone Guard, the Dark Ritual can be pretty awkward sometimes when you need to cast it. And then I want to make sure I don't have too much clunk at the top. Also, especially if I'm cutting some fast mana and bringing in another 3-drop. cut 1 Chrome Mox, and then either Shield Jet or a 1 ring. Put a 1 ring. We do have the Vampire Tutor still to find it if we need. Alright, let's try this. Alright, this is fine. The 2 fatal pushes make it pretty good. Make it very keepable. Alright, Deathrite Shaman. Let's just push that right away. They have days. Yep. That's fair. Hydro comes down. We draw another push. I'm kind of not sure which one's more important to remove. Because now I can't play around days for the second one, but they have another days. I think I did that right. I think the Hydro's probably a little bit worse for me if they keep it. I want to put both of these down. Yeah, that is pretty brutal. Yeah. Yeah, GG. I mean, we ran over blue, which is honestly the matchup I'm most concerned about with this deck right now, so that's a good sign. But we did get a pretty nutty couple draws there, so I don't think every game's gonna look like that. Alright, play first. Interesting hand. They do not have a companion. This is fine. We'll lead on Bobble. Pass the turn. What do I want Vamp for here? Probably a Wary Zone Guard at some point. Alright, some kind of a red aggro creature deck. Might be one of those ones that pings you for every time a creature attacks. Does that kind of thing. So, I don't think I want to strip here. I need to get up to Goyf. Need to get up to the Goyf territory. But I will play the strip. And crack the Bobble. See if we can get something useful. Okay. Slit. Alright, some kind of a burn deck here. Paying 2 life for Vamp is a little sus, but I think I like doing it here to get another Baragoyf. Make sure we're getting lots of life. Crack this for a basic. Trying to preserve that life total. Once we can stick a Baragoyf, if we can just get through this turn, we should be good. Bolt Wave 3. Don't have 2 more Bolt Waves. Please. Oh no, am I dead? Am I dead? Ah, nice. GG. Just another time. You know, if I hadn't tutored there, I would have, guess I would have stayed alive. Yeah, I would have. Man, the tutor cost me the game because I had the Goyf already. I got greedy and wanted a second one. Interesting there. Okay, so... Oof, we don't really have anything for this matchup. It's like could maybe play a culling ritual. Maybe some of those. But they have a lot of burn, actual burn spells, so I don't know how good that'll be. Yeah, maybe I just play a couple baubles, just gets another type in the graveyard for Barrowglyph. It cycles. Because I don't really know what else I would really want here. Alright. Play first. Sure. I don't love this. It doesn't have any life gain, but we have a push, a Bowmaster, so we can interact early. Let's get the tap land out of the way now. Culling Ritual. I don't know if I really want that right now. I have Bowmasters, so I'm gonna bin that. I'd rather dig for life gain here. Romox. I could drop a ring, I could do a zone guard, I could do a few different things here, but I'm just gonna hold up Bowmasters and Fatal Push. Get a little bit of life, or save a little bit of life there. This is a situation where I want to try to strip block. Wait, I don't even have a strip. I thought I had a strip for some reason. Okay, never mind. Definitely not then. Very Zone Guard's pretty bad because it comes in tapped. Maybe I'll just exile the Zone Guard instead of paying 2 life. And cast a ring. Alright, pass the turn here. I'm gonna draw in case I get a life gain spell. I did not, but I did get a vamp, so I could find one. I could find like a Shelly. As long as I can get through this turn, that should lock it up. I think I have a fairly good chance of getting through this turn too, because Bowmasters and Push are both here. Lightning Strike. This is obviously a budget burn list. Alright. And yeah, let's vamp for a Shelly. I will go down. I'll lose 4 life down to 3, but then I'll gain 6 back, so that seems good. Alright, GG. I don't think I need to make any more changes. We'll just run it back. We're kind of scrappy here. We don't have a great plan against burn. Maybe that's something I need to work on with the deck a little bit. Okay, let's see. Opponent goes first. We have a good hand. Bloodchief's Thirst, Deathrite Shaman. So we can remove their 1-drop and then start getting life back with the Shaman. Let's do that. I kind of want to run the Shaman out, because this guy, not very impressive, but I also don't want the Shaman to die to a bolt, but we'll try it. We'll try it. Alright, it survived. That's nice. That is nice. Zone Guard's very slow, but in a situation like this, it can actually have some time to start to build up. I'm not under a ton of pressure right now. I'll just pass. Hold up Bloodchief's Thirst for something more threatening. Take 3, yep. So I can go ahead and fetch here. And let's see, we got just Skewer right now. Alright, I'm gonna get a Mortuary. Don't need another Chrome Mouse, that's for sure. Ah, another land, huh? Another land. I wonder what's in their hand. Are they flooded, or do they have a bunch of burn, or what? If they had burn, I figured they would have pointed at the Shaman, but... I guess I'm at the point now where I just want to take this thing out so that I can start to gain life with Deathrite Shaman and that kind of thing. We're flooding out though. We need some action here. Chain Lightning, yep. Let's gain 2 here. There we go. Might be running low on fetchables. 1 left now. I will draw now. I'm digging for life gain. Another land, crazy. That's wild. Start doming them for 2. They must be flooding out. Okay, push, it's fine. I'm gonna start going after their lands, even though I don't know how much good that is actually worth at this point. They have so many in such a low curve. Fire blasting, yep, okay. Sure. wish I could get another creature into the graveyard. I might be dead here to another Fire Blast. If I really need to, I can push the Wary Zone Guard to gain some life so I can gain life with the Deathrise Shaman. Alright. As long as it's not a big deal. As long as they don't have another Fire Blast, that's the thing I'm most concerned about. Looks like they do. Alright, so I push the Zone Guard. Man, okay. If I push the Zone Guard, I take 2, go down to 4. I gain 2 life, go up to 6, but then I take 2 from the ring and die. So I think he's got me here, actually. Just drew way too many lands. Yep. I don't have anything in instant speed. Nope, nope, nope. Oh wait, actually no, I'm not dead. I can yeah. Oh, he doesn't have any. Sorry, actually I can exile and then do it again on my upkeep before the trigger goes off and kill him. It's a close one though. GG. GG, not bad for a budget deck. I mean, I did flood out really hard, but... Alright, here we go. Opponent goes first. I'm on the draw. They have no... companion. This is a okay hand. I wish I had a little bit more beef, like mid-rangey 3 or 4 mana stuff. Just have a bunch of ramp, but... Bloodchief's Thirst is good against enough decks. I think I'm okay with this. Alright, so Watery Grave, Ponder, no companion. I'm gonna guess that they are on... Blue-Black Reanimator tempo. I'm trying to decide if I want to strip them or just Dark Ritual into Bowmasters and Bauble. Without the strip. There we go. Pretty good start. I want to strip them because this deck can go Entomb Reanimate just right away on turn 2 if they have 2 mana, so getting their mana down is pretty important, I think. That's basically what I was considering. No follow-up though. I had a good start, but no follow-up, so we really need to hit some gas. I'm gonna be surveilling at the end of the turn. The fetch land and surveil. I need another mana for that. Kind of rough. I wouldn't want to put it in the graveyard because they could reanimate it, but you just have to bin it, I guess. I don't know. I need like 2 things, and that's one of them. So this Bowmasters is good here. They may have forgot about the vaccine bobble, or they may have just wanted to brainstorm away their land. But either way, Bowmasters resolves. They had to brainstorm awkwardly. By Tamio.
Oh! How am I supposed to focus on only one project?
Kind of a tough question between like which one to use first between the thirst or the push, because later on if they're able to flip a Tamio, I would really want the thirst, but instant speed is really good here, especially when I'm leaving up a mana here at the end of the turn. Middle land. Ponder again. Alright, they scoop. So I think we're going to want the Macabre. I'm just assuming they're on Reanimator. They could just be playing like a bigger version though. Sometimes there's like bigger versions that just play Kaido and Baragoyf. But I'm going to assume that they are on Reanimator. Bring in the Macabre. We want Opposition Agent. Sometimes an Assassin's Trophy is reasonable in this matchup, depending on what else they're playing. Putting probably like some combination of this stuff. Maybe a ring. Alright, we'll try this. One goes first. We have 2 pushes, a ritual, a Baragoyf, 3 lands. We're a little mono heavy, but the 2 pushes plus Baragoyf is a game plan. Sure. Thoughtseize. I take either a Goyf or a push, I'd imagine. It's a push. Draw Bowmasters. Could ritual into a Bowmaster here. But next turn, I mean, if they play one drop, I could get more gas out of the Bowmaster or out of the ritual next turn by going ritual plus Bowmasters plus Fatal Push. So we'll try that. I'm walking right into a daze here, unfortunately, but I wanted to make sure that I got the Tamio dead. I think that was a little bit more important than resolving Bowmasters, but I'm honestly not sure. Psychic Frog. Draw a Strip Mine. That's not very helpful because we do need to get up to Goyf territory, so we will just pass the turn. Good news is, at least if they hit me with Frog, they have to suffer a Bowmaster trigger. Another Frog, yikes. Wow, they don't attack. Okay. Let's get the mortuary. Looking for some more gas. Really, anything that's not a land right now would almost be good. Don't know if I want to bobble though. I don't have a lot of time with both these frogs out. I mean, if I run this Baragoyf out right into a counterspell, it's gonna feel bad, but I can at least play around days this way with the ritual. That force is their last card. Yep. Okay. If I had known I was drawing a Dark Ritual, I definitely would have kept the bobble. But I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have drawn Dark Ritual if I had a bobble. So, yeah, we'll say no blocks. So how do I want to do this? I could shoot one twice, make them discard like one card to save it. It's not very good. Probably better off just going for the dome. I'm in a bad spot though. The 2 frogs is a lot. That's a lot. I do have a strip mine, so the way zone guard is pretty nice. Hopefully they didn't draw another counterspell, but we can't really play around that right now. It resolves. Let's see if it makes it through combat. That's the big question. Just gonna try to keep the pressure on. They have 2 must-answer threats on the board now they have to deal with. Swamp or Island? I don't think it matters since they have a Mire, but I want to take them off of their removal, I guess, with this situation, so we'll go with the Swamp. And maybe they have the push and they just need to wait. Oh no, apparently not. Millipotniks. We're just slugging it out against 2 frogs. Kind of wild. Pretty wild. They're getting a lot of cards, but I have some fatties now. Another frog. Okay. So they're dead on board? Yep. GG. GG. Yeah, I mean, that's 2 blue-black decks we beat so far, which is, again, what I was most worried about. So that's promising. Alright, next match with Golgari. I'll play first. This is a good hand. It's okay. If we have something more to pitch to Chromox, it would be nice if I had one last land and something to pitch, but I will keep it. We'll lead with Mortuary, try to dig towards something. We'll see what the opponent has, but likely the plan is to lead with Zone Guard. Lead with Zone Guard and then play Baragoyf after. I don't need a second one, so I'll bin that. Although I guess it's good pitch to Chromox, but Tameo, blue-white.
Curious. I must investigate this scroll further.
So I can Dark Ritual into Baragoyf. I can pitch Dark Ritual to Chromox. And cast Wary Zone Guard, but not have anything to bring back with it. I could strip and then Dark Ritual and play Barragoyf. Let's try that. Play around days. Pick out their land. And then next turn, if I draw any spell, I can start strip locking with Zone Guard. Just need a spell to pitch to Chrome Mox. But the opponent has their hands full too, since I have a Barragoyf out already. So I think it's a pretty good spot that we're in right now. Cameo flips. Okay, that's fine. Fine card to pitch, so that'll work. All right, opponent to scoops, sure. Makes sense. They're blue-white. We didn't see any black. This could be like the Thalia deck. They have no companion. This could be the Thalia Quantum Riddler thing. We didn't see that much, though. So I think Snuff Out is going to be good since we didn't see any black. And if they are on blue-white, then it'll be pretty good. Opposition Agent is pretty fine. Assassin's Trophy is fine for taking out Quantum Riddler. Or Teferi if they're playing it, stuff like that. I don't really know what's bad here, though. Bowmasters is good. Zone Guard is good, but maybe I could trim one on the draw. Shield Dread's good. Goyf is good. They're playing Swords of Plowshares, though, so our bigger creatures kind of get a little bit less effective. They're probably also playing Prismatic Ending, which definitely weighs on Chrome Mox. Cut one Chrome Mox. I think I want the baubles for counter spells. So I get these opposition agents in here, I think. I think Thoughtseize is actually reasonable against the blue-white decks, but I'm not I don't have a high degree of confidence what deck exactly they're playing. Let's try something like this for now. And we'll see how it goes. I want to have my 1 mana removal spells on the draw. But yeah, I mean, I could see bringing in Thoughtseize. Maybe Assassin's Trophy. In some small number. Opponent keeps 7. I will also keep 7. We have the Bauble to clear the way for Barragoyf. We have too many mana sources, I think, but we do have a Strip Mine to help that out. Also the Mortuary to filter a little bit. Not sure if I want to lead on Mortuary or lead on Vexing Bauble. Another Ritual. Yeah, let's lead on Mortuary, try to find some gas, definitely get rid of the land. And then next turn I can cast Vexing Bauble, play around Days, and then Ritual into a Barragoyf. Petrified Hamlet, okay. They're gonna name Strip Mine. That's fine. Ooh, Opposition Agent opens up some new options. Alright, brainstorms. That is fine. Not sure if I want an agent now or not, but let him brainstorm here. Hopefully they burn through the force of will on this. That would be nice. Or a couple dazes. That would be... Well, they can only do 1 daze because they only have 1 island. Alright, Bobble resolves. And then do we want to go for agent? And if we do agent, do I want to wait till his turn or do it now? I'm going to wait. I'm going to agent on their turn. There's the Riddler. Sure. So they are on the blue-white failure list. Ooh. That's gonna not feel good for the opponent. Guess I'll take a Hallowed Fountain. Let's take a look at their deck real quick. 3 Forces, Riddlers, Chef, Rest in Peace, Failure, Wrath of the Skies, Daze, Fragment Reality, 1 Pending, 3 Stifles, 4 Strips. Okay. Under Rest in Peace, Force of Will, Stifle. The Rest in Peace is going to be pretty good against Barrowglyph, but they scooped. They can't get white mana anyways without a fetch land. They didn't have one in hand, so the Barrowglyph would have been good there. All right, we're 1 win away from Mythic. Sweet. All right, that was some good games there. The deck is feeling really good so far. I do like it quite a bit. I don't have any recommendations of changes to make either to the main or the sideboard. It feels pretty tight right now. It feels pretty good. I will continue playing it. I'm a little nervous still to test the energy matchup. That's what I'm most interested in right now, to get some more reps in there. And if you like this video, please smash that like button, smash the subscribe button for more content. And remember that I do have a Discord server, link in the description. And on the Discord server, I'm going to be posting my notes about this deck and about this video, and a little bit more in-depth information about the deck. And I will also be posting like other deck lists and things like that, things that are either ahead of time before I post a video, or maybe I crafted a deck and I didn't make a video with it. If you want to see a little bit more content like that, you can join my Discord server. Link in the description. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.